As I said, that currently we're both looking at short and long-term goals. We don't have the specifics. I hate to roll out and give you those specifics today, and then tomorrow I have to come back and give you a different answer. But we can tell you that there have been already many ideas that have been thrown on the table. The way that we're looking at this is something that no one is really facing to the same extent, and it's going to take a lot of brainstorming. It's going to take a lot of creative thinking, and I think that our department, along with our stakeholders, that we're up for the challenge. But we don't want to compromise the safety of our officers, so that is why that we're looking at both short and long-term goals. As I said, NHTSA and Ford, they're looking into this particular issue. We're working with them diligently, but we know that they may not get to the answers as quick as we need them to. So that is why we're going to be taking immediate action, and hopefully over the next week or so we'll be able to provide those to you.
What is the cost of this, of grounding those vehicles?
Well, right now we haven't grounded all the vehicles. As I said, 61% make up our fleet on patrol. Currently we have around 30 vehicles that we have pulled that we are having inspected to look for carbon monoxide related issues. We need our fleet to really run at 85% at all the times, and currently we're running a little bit lower, so that is why I think that this is very important to our agency, and we're going to be coming up with some very creative solutions.
What are current communications with Ford Motors?
We have had multiple conversations with Ford Motor Company.
From the first incident up until now, how many officers total have been affected by the carbon monoxide?
I don't have the exact number, but as I said, we've had about 30 vehicles. Some that were reported immediately, like one of the incidents that took place over this weekend. It was when they were actually preparing to get into their vehicles. So the equipment worked. It went off. The officers did the appropriate actions, and they reported their supervisors, and so therefore that vehicle was pulled. Other incidents that we have had officers that in our protocol that they are treated, we call EMS, and we make sure that our officers are okay.
What are you guys hearing from your officers? I mean, we all know they already come to work and do a dangerous job, let alone having to worry about being poisoned by their equipment. Are they allowed to request a different type of vehicle, or is that not an option because of fleet size?
Well, unfortunately, we do have a very limited pool, and as I said, 61% is UV, so a different option may not be there. But the executive team, our command team, the same issues that they're facing each and every day that is why I think that we're here today, because it is an important issue. We believe that our officers and their safety is a concern, and I'm not going to try to play this down and say that they shouldn't be concerned, but we have put in all the measures today that we think that our officers are safe, and we have the equipment in the vehicles to ensure that if there is a carbon monoxide leak, that the detector may go off, and we're asking the officers to immediately stop and report that.
I'm sorry, you said you first had a report when?
In March of 2017.
March 2017. At that point, did you start looking at other alternatives, or did you have to have more complaints and more things hit on the vehicles before you started looking at other alternatives to replacing the fleet or fixing it or alerting Ford?
No, we have immediately, when we had our first particular issues, is that we started gradually as the items that I listed from the paper carbon monoxide that was immediately placed into the vehicles within a short period of time. Once we could purchase them and get them into the car and actually install them, we immediately then looked at additional items such as the hard wiring, the carbon monoxide detectors, and of course we constantly are looking at different things that we can do, such as we all know it's hot. The first thing that you do when you get in your car is you put it on internal circulation, and that takes the airflow within the cab and doesn't get fresh air in. We're telling officers not to do that, and so we are looking at all creative solutions in reference to trying to make sure that we have fresh air and their officers are safe and they are not going to be exposed to carbon monoxide in the vehicle.
What kind of symptoms were they exhibiting?
There's dizziness, headaches, nausea, so those are sort of the symptoms that you would receive from carbon monoxide.
By any chance, do we know if it's just on the police cruisers or is it on all of Ford Escapes?
There have been, specifically I'll just talk to the police-related cars. We have had reports both on our enforcement vehicles as well as some of our non-enforcement vehicles. I do know that there have been some complaints nationwide on additional vehicles, but we're focused today really on our fleet.
Have you adjusted the budget any whatsoever to reflect what may be needed? We're going into budget processes now.
Yes, we are working with fleet currently on our replacement cycle and our budget for next year for vehicles. And so that is one of our long-term solutions that we'll look at, is that what, if any, changes will be made to our fleet for next year.
But nothing has been made to that budget at this point?
No, that the budget is in the budget current process, and so we are working with city management and budget at this time.
We'll take the last question from Brittany. We know that one APD officer has filed suit against Ford. We now know that a lot more officers have been impacted. Has there been any discussion about possible lawsuits against Ford as a department or a city?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.